assalamu alaikum badingolu ngal konton mobe dawda anibe watu kal bismillah na programo min kasuto jang lokon ni nyen temben sita civic education program kabarang Sky Power Radio and TV services nal badimalo Mustafa Jame membe sirin programo kuna nyen temben Sky Power Radio and TV services studios West Yorkshire Late Stencil Mount Studios. At the seat, my name is Mustafa Jame. Bokidegul Katin, London New Feature Sky Power Radio and TV services. Bayko Feature Rajabi Anax and Harit Mustafa Jame Nekal and Feature Studios B. Comment Dalda Kenya local Nyan Tembensida, Civic Education Program or Sambalena. Coming a lahido ke mol hakedani la hakedano kele berbe muruna ka mol hakedani kotanke wolo kuntambila coming a mol lahidi nyamenko Mr. Manjambe tarala jang bari de to keta kul gambian ko ngalon internet go ningo internet problem be ngala ko gambela internet ko is a struggle so mbe mol hakedani la wala bake fanke bara alal de maroto Mr. Manjambe ne gentleman mbasa wonila ngake gunjurun koti amrunda nanjang ko may lahido min fo pruka timmande mole kamala ma tentulo wo kan bake mbajeyla alfal mini fanan kataran fe loku ni nyente ben sida kela wato bla de jobate bijane aning honorable Suleiman Jeng ala honorable tatuli ambina tala bulle because I think kadim lafta ila manila bulle bamba fanan batala janne Aziz fanan ben fele nyentembo Aziz ni sela camera kono on kumala bake Aziz bojam burum be molbe tentulam be jelam be bisimula la koranke and the fourth enkelan sen alpha babula mi alon golo na luntam bu ñaari wona ngalo ñinnon signa foloti pour kanana jang ñinda kala labonti ni alasonda Mr. Manjam be tentulam be jelan sebule ni lamorla ni jibela ni ñokontong ni obode je inshallah sina dum ko kun kono Mr. Manjam welcome on board thank you
okay Mustafa baraka bake assalamu alaikum be juberlal be konton ba fulale ko assalamu alaikum budum fanam be kontanere nana jang alon nyanta kala no lokun tambelale bari internet problem me no bankoka amanna keno so bi alhamdulillah ala la nyenta ala bi donc dunna kono ngaje ke alon kumo mandia asake nin dunta kono kumo sike la nyaba memman tara mobe baje nyakilen bar boton si nyoso doro nyoso hakella kacha molete pour men senyato ganati bankoe ngaje ki wala mon be la xamoni na jiko te nyento boton be adal na wodo fonen dunta kacha kon assalamu
alaikum inimbara wake Mr. Manyandai
welcome Manjang because it's really good kongi soto jambi at least ikafo nyabeng nin kol duta nin jakalo keta ika muru experto leya ika muru mol londitio leya ika muru mol me yalonko ya experience soto yeta wol ya ye muru ikan ini kacha ye nyininka ifanali londo di la hamoda abarka bake with your busy schedule your time ta pour katarajang mbe Aziz aning Suleiman kontona na panel membasol aning Mustafa abarka bake fo wati ka make sure ko issue sol nabe caring nati nga discourse isaje mol fana ye cool understand ka cool bondi nyokono mole isaje mol ya understand parce que jamale be caring juberal fanan mbaye be fola ala barka bake wati sibito al nin katara jang al kamol jube ni katara kachala cool to ala barka
Embara wake ndey sol
assalamu alaikum Mr. Manjambe konton be tentula na lamoral fanambal konton nambal tentula alla wato wal kamenta kana mol jube wokola sina colleagues also konton tentu ajara tunde Mustafa aning Aziz na boss kendo ala baraka
inimbara wake sol Aziz
nde folola kanna lumtamba konton Mohamed Manjang nga Mohamed long bari atel lon na bari ngamera ninga mo faye abaluna le ko ngalon ni nga Mohamed long tu Lamin Gassama LK Jawara la former ADC when he was going to school.
Yes.
I was steering Muhammad Manjanyo Lea Baraka and Inteleka hang out most of the time. The police fana at the fraud office at the central, I think a Standard Chartered Bank. So obviously, mole meta follow la back. Yo bari alanata ke fana ni modo close to back. Of course, it's very controversial, but in namo kendelamo. Memu Ahmad Jiteti. Ahmad also have high regards for Mr. Manjangalo Manjayo Kalamuta. Jite is a very close friend of mine. Adung Hanim B, we are very close. So obviously, I've been someone who has been following Mohamed Manjang for a very long time. Oto nyinketa nye kontani kubati ka soto jambi komende ya fonyame bankobe damen bi nsulata nyimo sifala isi karina once in a while ikela experience here with the people in the hope ko tumodo molu samoi ise kuodolu taje wokola mbena alfa kendolu kontonna ka follow Suleiman la me alonko na alfa le mu birimbe doku wala aduo alfa ya hanimbi wole beje mbende kontonna ndey mu mole timeng always nka fo mole bar bimba fora fo ya moy ning activist fula be caring bi me alonko yena respect and in the country it is ndey animpa samba jaw because banko la kuodron wole jarte bari above and beyond that ndey mu mole timeng abuka sidron akadiam. They has a hands-on approach. I'll be on the ground trying to help both the government and the youth especially, but Ifana also highlighting this, some of the challenges men Bankoba Kawoto kontan kubaleti ite Mustafa Fana alhamdulillah inila nyimbere wenyi tandiko you are a freedom fighter. Adu ngaje ko ite nyimbere bondi lamuk unless the country is free. Oto bi nga molle soto jamme alonko dal nse men fono doro wolemu nintaranka ataya min I'll be making the atayan kal saf ala baraka
baraka bake kay
Nimara bake Aziz Akumara ninko Okay, that's fine. Inin barabake Aziz. Don't kumbo nyama. Mr. Manjang, nin sinano ite ya bi ite lo muna expert ori. Aziz batarala ata himola.
Yes.
Fenke atondi maybe Suleiman Jakala bitala nana nyinila bamba binala fenko sukuro samala nang. Ne bakari kusembentu yala because bi lafta kule kachala jam mi alonko akumata bake abakerin Londo la Carola, abakerine dajiko la Carola, abakerine kebaro la Carola. Wala tinanko, jama ninga fenje mi along wole banko mol sula. Fenne je mi along ko e banko dingol sula. Kula mi along ko e banko abinake la banko e sinin sama kolealdi. Nkalafika ko kacha. E ne ajibe ite yeddo ko ke fanna la ka fu meko private sector. Eboto woto inata public sector dol ka fu government system. So nyim moldi ite moldi mi alon ko yala experience wada warta nyim fanna flol bel and nyim fannal be inin ila challenges solo mi alon ko ba folo ko kole akol le bije par foro mlafte yemma ko minto yim bon nit nyoto folo iko pour que bondi nyoto private sector and in public sector Mr. Manya.
Yeah, okay. First ila diama abe break candidate so mbaka ila mela kumol be moy bara nga beran sobite be min foka mune mu public ni private sector mune fata yes. Basically la nga commencer wal yes. Okay I think ni pour ka sutiyandi nte especially nte kanyel je nyame nte ma fata je tema because ibebe ni la private sector miltamu ila hammo miltamati kela nafadi la bari miltama manke mildamma yela kodokije milela kodokije dabijele milke sandiro ke jeto dabijele milke munafanje dabijele ibe banko min kam banko fanan daba ko don so ila hammo pour que do ko ke fembonde men be mol be nafa bari ni nata public sector fanan same thing because public sector fanan be jele pour que banko kono fewol banko kono dewol nafa amanke banko dewol damman hani lunta woli anin doku bundal men be banko kan kawol fanal be nafa so be nafa kilone bari ngamere etemo ni data private sector atiol senata atiol london mol bi jele me yalon ko nyem mun talete e kela kato be kele pour kaw tankandi kela kato be kele pour yaaje ko mi ya wilindi abo nafa bondeka ni nata public sector ndefe problem bambe public sector titala kato tio bala bare mol maje ko itale ni public sector yo mola haji tije is like motate yala ni motate minta tinya ka fair yamira nyene muy temoti bari bebe ku kilone bebe nafa kilo ni be wilte be la kato ke bela ibe ke bankole sambanya ila sambanya le ka fata ani yamira wala ka problem on ati ndula fulante
about wake Mustafa be reactivate kan but manya munana ya mira public sector nyin moliaje ko motate ya mira wo mindset nata nyadile munana mole o mira because private sector ngalon ko mole tamu ni man deliver ike fintindile they will check you fintinde but the public sector munana wo nata ko molbe ya mira ko motante nyinti something like that.
Ngamira dalilo be anati dal ngamira be ko mol buke fanja ko mol kata jele kata be do ko le be jola then public sector be ko to do mol ya ngara do abi jele do na tamata be jada na bantama be jada bari mo buka jube nimme maka nyama mola hajite ka jube ko fa ya ke isi diamu bari tela nyanto normal yali na private sector ni mil tamati ning sawo sang na sita ni la doko khayma ya lande mol nyakodo mil tamu ni man kontani mil ba tamande kay be bonde ko me ya fonya ni mil be doko la mil be nyaton kay akan doko bundal ni be doko le mantra ke ka nyama e be bonde bari fala ni aka nyama isi fendi la membe kontani isaje sar hammela ko mbade ngana nga doko e kan nga ka nyama nga fembon limbe fen soto nola so ngamere wol fulo leke fata adu nim public sector beletam bari nim beta mo bari motante ga ko nya adu nim beta mo motante ala tamo be kole ala ko so mota bulala no ma mota hayman bari dulal bi jele mil nyanta kala bari mol la baka wol ila konti bole man wara mo baka tare konti bo kam mo baka tare bulake no mo baka je ko ebe ko tamande ka nyama do ko bita kanya melbe do ko la ko ne me fanja ko no katu biyo e ka yala ko ne wilta so man danda abedara salama man beta salam de la jobije
so lafta min nyinin kala wolem ko comme ya fo nyam yale mondingol kuma do bije mim fo ntale fisiata mbe tati comme like kami yitandi e fansunta e kawle horma baake wala tino nyanta warale fe baake dan mbe tati so fo wole atina mo ka public sector jube because mo be talem imam bunya ba dila dan private sector mimmu mfansuntati
yeah wasi keno bari yalong private sector taya bukati na mole bulano e kana famin so je wala ke bulandano e ka mon talemo bari law taya ni aje be lo ka no makata ka ko mole je amman taya dam mum tate na moye sawarbe bari ba falan talem nin lo ta no mangamo ta ko mbe fen so la ko ma nin nata public sector fanan kon talem lo tano mun talete misal nin kon talem maje ko mobe talem mun te ben ta dam man kon te kan talem ninga mutan taya mbaje la ko lopitano be do ko lay do ko kanya nay do ko kanya ma lumbe sila ninde man sasa na mo be sasa ni sasa le taro lopitano be tabata tamala le ba mbenna na faso la wotembe bari baje la ko sonta taya la be bulala no makaje ko abe do ko lay do ko kanya you know, private sector the same thing
comme like Mansakunda Molka Miracle Mansakunda is just a cluster of mole. So Ibuka Mansakunda je come like mo be mu mansakundalti fo fanange contribution okay pour public sector nyim bukatama baki.
Yeah, I mean, abe mo ke because ni tada private sector ni bota josali yalla maybe ning focus ta back Gambia. Bokaje ko maybe private sector jam pour mole dengue ta yeke fende amman wara back. Par ni tada bantale tada banku dol kan. Ibaje la ko private sector jama private sector bali company bali bukake mo kilenta. Mole ke kafon nyoma ta yakade. Dol ni obije demanding dol ni o se waraje doli bari ibe tamate ibe be la nafa jube kay be la nafa dol tabe siala dol tabe doyala bari be la nafa bije be te bulano la ko bari yaje isaje ibe la mo intela nyanto sa karafa do ma praya aya jube man sakunda fanan the same thing because ne man sakunda fanan jube be talem adun kayita ne nyaje ni carte fayo sita nin tara dibitol tombo be tombon ka walla ni tare be tallantel be la kanweje bari insi tombondiro ke barni ta te sita na haji te kote maja kote kon tala ngen da bonda kono barni minam da ba kono barni dun tangan da bonde
bari sorry
Fonsi di amuno ba
quand yeah Asis after manya ko kilin kan jakali because ante ite do ko ke outside le ndebe sirin janne Asis nyol ni bebe janne mune katina ka fata katu jang no way jang man sakunda la fengo mol silata wala hanin defa ngon silata kudu doron ba fala doye ko silata tax office la nyame nina ko be nina kelo be nina ko be tax office buka hani la wol mala même man sakunda la fengo ti même be tati mol silata wala la dina ifango tati muna nana yamira different so bije because jan no way ni mbeta mu fenti mol bele kasilala mol bele kaje ko ayta anyata tala nyame asita wonya ifango lata mengo men diate isake ko ku diate isake bari mol beta mona yamira munemu different because be mu hadama di ngolleti
yalo ne I mean no for nowhere am for bank ko ten melbe to abdu bankol kamisa ni tax karojube busaro ba koma ne ku ke men ka nyama busaro be je ni ite khanyele man tax yo because na manke ko be bonale ko do dam man bara sitano le foye soron tax la ko jobali jang wolwa sifa kilum be je bari abuka tama ko because be na janjala karajama be jaman ke luwan tayade luwal sitara je le bar luwal le buka tama den luwal ban tamande busarta ko ma fen ko den ta ko bari amen ni nata don kamen ka itande la do ko la fannole alors be kuma fulale fo kanja taya bije mimu banko don nyanta mala ko nyami do ko fanan bije ko min do ko lal min be do ko la mun ko le akule kala kan ni be do ko so ni na do ko la fanno jube ma jube ko ntela jero to dula sabale bije mi min ke ko le akonati public sector man sakunda do ko to ni aning private sector land ni jube la fato ke kamonete maral nya mo kilen ni bota maral nya la muna feol me be do ko keno la coming like resources wal fanal mo kilen fanna doti fanna sabanja ona bije wala be kala do kudula adult anin banko ke la finna ko min so jiko min katara do kudula ka jiko min so milbe do ko wala u fanna saboni ajibe wala ke do ko lal min ke bonan ni bota nan bantala do ko wala bota private sector nata man sekunda ko nata parastatal or something nyille ke la problem follow ni maral nyaaju corruption is a big problem not only kodola tinyana but also intervention so niol jube will be muy la fansum problem corruption o ke wara corruption si wara foka pare do kulal fanan ani corruption wara do problem so because nin corruption wara ite tilindiro ke no la ite do kulal isitar hani do kola pour que ku fon ka se kola because nin corruption tinyaro ke do ite fensoro no ite do ko kenya so woma clean ni fulanjam jube ni fulanjam problem do fanan bije wala bureaucracy janni be decision ta for example ni gambe jube gamsel ta be compete against Africa the problem balance on la pour gamsel succeed in the current situation because number one janni gamtel ke decision ta they will be tambila hodul jamalal pour even ni lafta it's like fensan now for a certain value before la management decision ta katela board kata nyanta kala approval process or membela it can literally take 1 month 2 months maybe mangam selo exactly but the process mingalo because wait to ila board from GPPA and all of those things by the time we were parallel meaning Africell level compete maybe Africell paid or 3 weeks ago for be operate it a man decision also you know so new situations your bureaucracy or your corruption in the system so equating Africell level compete it's impossible in a compete no it does succeed no you know so that's one aspect then another aspect which is to do with cultural issues I remember ante bring a doko kuma so bani ko do ke ka ko e jamma ke private sector del bokakete you know del bokakete ni lafta ko do push la molsa fa no bokake no ja but no it's not abe no la jela men bebe operate kan yendula ke there is no mantra any other different place you know I remember an example of the molano simple example very 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 basic one Social Security was directly opposite Trust Bank. Trust Bank, private sector, Gambian run business. Social Security, public sector, Gambian run business. Ilibela start time is 8 o'clock. Neither Trust Bank at 8 o'clock. Ebata lela bunda lela kashi albesiri. Neither Social Security at 8 o'clock. Ebata la molman futa follow. Or maybe most likely Molman at the time. Nim Molnada, instead of doing a cubicle, maybe better Daso Mola Kukude. It's like Daso Mo is a routine, and Yanta Kalale Kukudente. Now, sometimes oh no, Ben de Malas and Bakankaram, or Mamotoso, or Manfink. I mean, Fireman was Milbe Trust by Ekabonamono. A baby, I'll be able to like Luna. A baker Motokino Kana. Ibe dimbayal so be min sambakan school. So how come we'll be for on time? It's a for on time. How come Ibe? But that's a culture thing. You know, that's a culture thing. But it's the same people. So it's not about people, it's not about country, it's just a culture thing. Mole sontala nyindula. But ninga force clear la bola. There is no way Africell sort of I succeed in Gambia. Gamcell sort of I fail in Gambia. It's not possible.
Aziz, do you still have, or I have something to ask, follow up? Yeah, Mustafa Muhammad killing for, which is very important. Ko hadamadin killing all them. Near the same person Bondiasam but Trust Bank, that person would wake up 8 o'clock abedo kudla because those are the rules. Near wo bondi fana men kante jakali watu watinka foko Gambenol melbe sir in public sector. Ye doko ke Europe and we are loco if ni meta late like be bailale. And they are there. It cannot time. The same people in Trust Bank or in the private sector, ni nati again in the public sector. Ikatale doro ye nafa.
Yes.
They are part of the whole system. You talk about structures, all them culture, the culture in the public sector, all in yanta fintila. But ngajile ko time take over in social security. ya try le pour ka ñing culture ñing dundi andu nga resistance sol jejele ite ya ko understand nya dile especially resistance so me ite nata ko okay saying alinga call falling for because we saw results when you change things despite all the resistance.
You know, to be honest, I think, I mean, in fact, it was changing because it got a point people were coming on time, people were at their desk on time, service was improving. So it's not impossible, but clearly, you can change in an environment where the culture is entrenched. Molman pare falen, molia mutako janka tamaten. Ayanete sona yala purka falen. And the problem is Jamabe resistance. They don't quite understand when I'm problem. But you know, idalta patronage. The bajala kado ku laja jam. Milbe nyaton kayala. Because he telebe nafa bale sotoka. Sometimes milbe do malani milbe you see influence maybe it's like near fonyade kavoy ke muchato le detail. You know, so it take a waleje. Because a mantra fen koten sotoka. But if I not listen, maybe this might be difficult for now. But any company succeed. Maybe when the family sort of whatever see ala nyil be mindi kelabi. Ninda na fenge convince no wala yoje. But then sometimes the problem is even some of those performance culture. Governance is a problem, and the interference is a problem. Decision making is a problem. Sometimes ikelafi Kodol introduced that, but the slow pace of implementing decision. Akati na molboka faleunje juna. Nema faleunje juna puri adopt ye bule yela vision je bule noma akanafale. So sometimes it takes a whole long time before you change it. And because molman tariya faleunjana is resist because ebe balikani be min soto kan science. Ebe jikinde kan fenna mimman na follow abi image. So Damanda will man fix. It's going to be a problem, but change is absolutely possible. It will be difficult, but changing anywhere is never easy, but it's not impossible.
Anyway, if I may comment quickly.
Okay, because Aziz is waiting.
Yeah, okay, Aziz, go ahead.
Okay.
La Baraka, just I wanted to take us back, Dorong, the difference between public sector and in private sector. Nimba simplify la to the ordinary Gambian. Mosa mirako kafukunko aning ifangola kunko. Serenyal mankilia. The reality is senenyalu mankilia. So obviously public sector and in private sector there are a lot of similarities in terms of how they are governed and managed, the resources that are used, but the ownership, one is private, the other one is public. The resources ikamenkeje nyindomu private resource leti, nyindomu public resource leti. The value that they seek difference. One is private value, which is in terms of money. Is public value, which is very difficult to account for. Because being public value, it is public satisfaction. How do you measure that? When you come to mobilization of resources, and this is where you have the difficulty, because it's a complex network of getting resources. And the public value in terms of public resources is not only finance. It's not only financial resources, but it's also the authorizing environment, the political environment, and the political will, which is so complex sometimes. Because politicians will sometimes, they look into the implications for some of the things. Just like Manjang said here, the action-based action, so government should have taken it easily, but sometimes because of political calculations, it takes
Sometimes you are breaking. Okay, my back. I don't know.
Oh,
The line
sorry.
But I just want to interject there before you continue. I just want to interject. This argument important for. I've had this argument many times before. I don't necessarily buy. You cannot make it a like for like comparison.
Okay.
You know, kapukunko and kunko. You know, it's. Let me tell you an example. Apple or Microsoft. They are probably bigger than the entire Africa. Apple has a capital. Apple has a market value over $3 trillion, and so is Microsoft. They have a workforce over 200,000. Gambia workforce is about 40,000. So in terms of complexity, managing Gambia is not more complex than managing Apple. In fact, Apple is far more complex. Near a spread, a geographic spread, the number of people they have. You see, yes, now output may be different. Private sector output is to generate profit, but not primarily. But it's also to make sure all our customers are satisfied.
Yeah.
It's to make sure the society it is doing good in that society. Now, public sector, maybe the purpose is not to create money, but I think don't focus on output, focus on input. Because a baby could input can allow output produce. Newo kodo ma ibe min dunde ka naman efficient. Ibe hammeren ke min so eta sotonola. So ite public satisfaction sotonola. Nila input man better. Private sector ite la outcome sotonola nila input man better. So ndeboka mantra profitability jubega, mantra kodi jubega, mantra fen jubega. But as a public sector, nimbe kodo min dunde ka loptanol ko nin loptanol better. Ama nta fola nyoye mba jalal. Nen nawek better nta fola nyoye mba jalal. Ni aje bi mol manta gamsel ibita kan Africell. It's not because gamsel mo public sector or the Africell mo private sector. No, it is because Africell la service or QCell or Comium mole fanja wolde lafta minne baje kan wole be samba kanji. So it's not, and then resource mobilization need a private sector. Yes, mole be la kodo de kela. Bari public sector fana womo ke unle be la kodo de kela through their taxes. You know, so if the taxes you can police in nafa soto akon. Anafa maybe come here for nyami ila satisfaction. Anafa come here for nyami ya celebate also. Anafa come here for nyami karambum bet also. What be munafality? I mean, puruka George because nin karambum bedada. Million soto ke te di sambala private school be sambala public school. Because wala job besona. But niaje manta public school because so it's a satisfaction or gauge no. So I think ninga profitability landing karalan kana focus because jama ka wale ke ko private sector will ke profit leke public sector mu service leke bari ni ibeke ko dole dunde je pour profit also to pour service.
Okay, yalong nyimbe mu molla jero le de wala molla jernya bari elati amo ko e ku kilem foje o ko mata baake ko interference mala ubura mun dole akananya dile fo inene ya experience le ila do ko kono ba interference malum fo fana mu factor dole te ba.
Oh, I think interference, I think it's a big factor because sometimes all this parastate interference can be direct, can be indirect, because sometimes molds in nibe public sector whatever problem out interference in not only from government sector. But sometimes more civil yete bad yete ni farmer be bado yete farmer ya ni ba ma bado yete ba ma ya yete kotole ya ko barkari ala kolbe kole akanede alta fula ya yo fadomande ala fire kiden demande ala fire. So and yeah Gambia lonne I mean more jama buka resist no because ni that as well kono more sina ya barinko na moide to kula tenente jama in the private sector mol buka ofo because ka fole ka lon ko mol ka e kenyene mutako mol tamo nyendi so ite dadu na nim public sector mo bele mo tante so nin kube ke kan sa fo no le ko bari ata kunde yalong Gambia manke yalong Gambia butung maslalem fon sa fenke so wobije that's interference. There's also the other interference which is the political interference. You see unfortunately, Europe or America or any of these Western countries, there's options. There are options. So mojama bije, you know, sitara do kola ni na te kuitanna nimman la fala out of principle I can resign. They hesitate la I will resign. I can probably get a similar job or better job, maybe by atentala time la purunga do kudos. In a place like Gambia, and in fact in most third world countries, there are not many options. Ni tata for a certain level do kula. Ni fota o do kula. Purko do ko yongsoro is a problem. And because of that insecurity, sometimes ni mimbe nyato yalong kwa influence nana ta e force kola. It's likely mojama e ka kele. You know, they will give up, they will give in, ibe son na yake. You know, sometimes milbe banta safa ko abari inyanta lanno so la yela ala life. Sometimes it's difficult, not everybody can do that. You know, so but you know, so ninga that level of awareness to the point where we say because young honey fixed term contract the mola and yalong within the contract clauses tamari boninola for na serious offense commit. Young people ignore the contract and they will still kick you out. But if you had something, security of tenure, you will know in any employment contract, I think you will see a lot of people performing a lot better. A lot of people will resist some of this interference. But until that happens, it's only going to take people who are to some extent a little independent or maybe a jikoso or to resist some of this interference. But that's the political one. The societal pressure, it just takes the person himself or herself to have that character and personality prior withstand. So if I, you know, so for me, interference, you know, it's like, the third thing is about social and funko na adult dokudla and in society like influence.
Mr. Manja, let me just follow up with this because I come for Jang Wukumaya Tabak Kafoko be opportunities man sia in the Gambia options stage. Adung palas be palastro ni beje ka resign abe kole ala bayri imang any other options soto. Bari nga moi commissionol to ka formule komuna nema resign.
Yes.
I don't know whether anybody also factored in the fact that me resign Tasilan, what am I going to go up into? Because options later caring and sometimes fana membege more fanguma was skilled sort of to even attract international jobs.
Yes.
Could that inform some of the behaviors that we are seeing in terms of corrupt practices and abuse of office and authority?
I believe to some extent, yes, that's a factor. You know, it's a question of how, you know, addressing all of these things, you know, to make sure we have a more professional environment and people deliver. It is also important to look at all of these issues and see, because they can be addressed. It's a question of addressing how we put it in place, because certainly, and you're right, I've had this thing, Commissioner Bafola Moleko, Bari Munachinema resign. You know, some people have done that, but the majority of the people did not, and they know probably best. But I know the fact that there is no lack of optionality makes it a little difficult for some people to take that job. Optionality. And more comparison between the West and here, but the environments are so fundamentally different in that regard, you know. But I think so. It's a fundamental thing to address to see the public sector do even better.
And I just want to quickly summarize aiming for. You did pick up manyan private sector and public sector compare like for like. And then you went on to talk about corruption. You mentioned intervention, bureaucracy, cultural war precedents, work ethics, and patronage. So Inata talk on insecurity, opportunities, and options, and insecurity of tenure. So near Wulbe Jube, they do not just come out of the blue. The environment must be created. And it's not the employees or the public that creates that environment. Sometimes Mansakunda, government will create. This brings to mind colonial era when Tubabolbe Mol Karandikang. They were not educating people to be prepared to, tackle world problems or to be, kind of a well-rounded, educated person that can, have all these opportunities. Ike trained to become a clerk. Purka cool record and sifal. So ngaje ko government fanang sometimes it can contribute purkela more limit so that isi control no in a way ko isaje they would only accept what the leader says or does ibuka challenge. Let's say come you cited Europe. Europe here, they educated their people. They created that environment where everybody would have equal opportunity. It's not like if I give $1 to Ndei, I would give the same $1 to Mustafa. Equal opportunity. Wole muka environment create where in their potentials asa achieve no, asa attain no, Mustafa la potentials asa achieve no, because mbela potential manke clinty. So if government is not willing to create that opportunity, it would be difficult purunga wo achieve. For example, Nesana Sabali Jube, Kabring Anata, it did not take him long. Kabring Akata official to Kamul Jube Menukana Juna. Everybody started going to work on time. But Kabring Amuta was stopped. So it means these things that we perceive as difficult to implement, in my own view, they are not difficult. The political will litigate. Purka will create. I don't know how we agree with that or.
No, I completely agree with the last statement. It's not impossible. I mean, these things are doable. But like I said, that's why I'm talking about the custom. I'll give an example. One time, I went to the former one-time Secretary General office, and he was boasting, they actually go and rule the line at, is it 8:30? So I'm looking at him, I'm saying, but you're extending the time. Isn't the time 8 o'clock? I mean, why are you pleased with yourself for you're ruling the book at 8:30? I mean, that's crazy. Your official time is 8. People can come to work at 8. In this country, people are in the office at 7:30 in Ghana, in the private sector. I know some of the banks, in a morning calls, they have it at 7:30. And can you believe people are sitting in the office at 7:30 for that meeting before the 8 o'clock opening time? But if you, as the head of the civil service, you are condoning that, and that is where the custom comes, because you accept the call. School. Accept the call, so therefore they can be late. You think that is right. But there are the same Gambians also, many of the same Dindons coming from the same area, going to the same schools, and they're in the offices at 8. So it's possible. But it's a culture thing. We just need to change that culture.
So you don't believe?
But it's so perfect.
You don't agree with the political will can create?
No, I totally agree. But I think it's not just political will. It is also us Gambians accepting it. I don't have to have a political person driving me if I have love for country to be in the office at 8 o'clock. That's what I'm saying. Not all Gambians. There are so many other people working in the public sector. They are in their offices at 8 o'clock, and they are working. So that's what I'm saying. Yes, there is a public will, but also there's patriotism. I am going to put in my effort. I don't need somebody to be driving me to get there. So that's what I'm saying. So it's both sides. But yes, if the political will, that is like the stick. Then they can enforce it. It will happen. So I totally agree with you.
Because sorry, economy, earlier that amanke lual mantara Gambia, bari lual ibuka tamale. So
Yes.
niaje and telling Europe difata because jang lual katamale and consequences ul kataraje. Bari Gambia lual bukatama consequences bukataraje for pareta patronage menufo. And don't think a patronage minje nyameng wolem ko, let's say for example IG ninte tata mission na mission kodo every month ka allowance special allowance diala. Obviously ninte saitanang IG he would attend treat like someone me alonko has not had that opportunity purka allowance diala every month. So in terms of promotion, in terms of discipline, will be work likely compared to Nayatara or patronage. So what I think is like
sometimes it's not even about the allowance. It's not even about the allowance you give. Sometimes it's about you being loyal to them, because Tamo created, they can create trouble for themselves also. But I think it's really more about the other things that you will ignore them doing in the office and them facilitating that, But listen, I completely agree with you. Some of these problems there is lack of political will. And it comes to, sometimes it's just lack of awareness is also a problem. So believe me, some of these people simply don't know, but political will be jelly, awareness be jelly, and so many other factors. But let me just come back to you, Aziz. I wasn't saying private sector should not be compared to the public sector. I am saying absolutely they should be compared. Outputs are different. One is looked at as it is profit driven. So most time, comparison, that's where they come and they will tell you, but in service delivery, it's not profit. So what I'm saying is we should ignore the output and focus more on the input, because we are all inputting the same kind of resources, and both of those input resources are limited. So we can absolutely compare, because if we make sure the input is efficient, the output will follow, and the output will be efficient.
Okay.
Another thing, just a quick, but Mohammed, the problem of Anambe Dame and Wolemuko, yes, you can look at the input and then the output, but it's so crucial for Nampurunga J for Nanjube Katu, atela implication, ala effect is more profound than the private sector, ne public sector Jube, because if I feel like Mola life, the hospital, more fala, more Montano school, more like more member pharmaceutical manku keno. So atela implication, atela is so detrimental.
It's far reaching. It's far reaching.
Yeah, so that's why I think that it's important to look at both of it, and then also cultural for. Back to Suleiman Bemenfokan, I think here the government should pull up. They should really pull their might to be able to make sure that culture falinta, because culture ta from falina. Like it is actually you work in social security housing finance, and then you brought a different culture to change that culture. But it was like resistant. Of course, change not a dawada, mulka resistle. But this is a public sector where you came to make sure that results are coming. You went there to make change. Yam ye mamandi. Bari amantano, because culture you may be, but the culture also more layer sustain. And that is the state structure and the government structure. So for ye na ye jija demanding. Yes, is it patriotic knowledge? Because neka moy mo jamalan kenyi nin kale for what wadi. Kafu bari te leave the Europe jam. Ni te jam. Ina gabe dorong ibokata hanin na own company. I remember one of my staff. She was shocked that I was really attacking her, because how can you go to Gambia? How can you live in UK? You did all this job. We believe in you. We gave you the job. You just went and just followed them. They are even better than you. And it's like, but I cannot believe you will attack me. I said, I'm shocked. I go, yeah, but I'm going to say you boka. Oh, because look on my last one. So I mean, that's that culture thing that the state has to play, no matter how patriotic. And this is somebody who we work in the struggle, patriotic, hardworking, condemn many of these things. And you know, towards that direction, I was really shocked. And I remember the meeting was not really healthy at all. It was really tense, you know, because we were all just jumping. So, don't you think that the state here has extremely crucial role as the employing agency as well?
I think, if I may jump in quickly, Yemen for Tonya Lemu, the government can lead by showing example. Ning government ye intolerance demonstrate to such behavior, it will have influence on how people behave. But if government tolerated coming Yemen for former Secretary General saying Kosa Intola Banga somebody as low as 8:30 and you're boasting about that. That shows government is not even concerned. Bari fana coming individual.
No, sorry. Let me just put one. You know, this is the point. You know, as far as that particular Secretary General was concerned, he felt, he honestly felt that he was doing a good job. This is the funny thing.
So ibajela ko yela ba somebody very low in terms of what they think is a good job. Whereas there are individuals.
You know, our problem, I want to just put one point. Our problem is mediocrity.
Yes.
You know, that is fundamentally the problem.
Yes.
Because this person is not like he is not concerned.
No.
He was actually concerned. He actually thought he was doing some fantastic job. But it's mediocre. We are comfortable with where we are.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like we celebrate too early before we even get there. We think we've arrived.
But we celebrate mediocrity instead. And not...
Exactly.
Yes, we celebrate underachievement. But individual Olbeje, I want to give an example. We used to have an IGP called Pasala Jan, Press Jan.
Yes.
Press Jan is in our office nyaunya ibatar laje. No matter how early you come to work, you will find Press Jan there. Adunjana Besila office, he will go into all the offices to check on everyone Janinga Besila. I think, Mr. Jan, you remember Pasala Jan. I try to follow him. I'm not a good example, the Baringa Katabaki, because when I was heading the peacekeeping office, Yemoto Koto Killing Medina, together with all the staff, knowing where some of them live, they drop, then ikananka masomanda. But in ning ileta kananka may bente tarla silole kang. I remember at in Nayempik obata la mamoto soto.
Yes.
Because I saw them that I have no tolerance for that.
Exactly.
Even though among the political cloud sort of to punish them for some of the behaviors, but at least they are condemned to the point where it will be from where we are concerned, and it becomes an embarrassment if they come to pick me late.
Yes.
When I was there, Fana, I had the same political pressure. Sometimes ikasile kweko yaya jamme ko molu ta ye include in the package. The things I tell them is, tell Yaya to write me a letter and I can file it. But I'm not going to act on verbal orders.
Okay.
I just wanted to make one point so that it's not assumed. There are people within the civil service and the parastatal sector who are giving it their absolute best. So I don't think it's not about generalization. Like your point as is, when you were there, you were doing everything you can. And that is why I was saying there are two ways of achieving. There needs to be the political change, one political will to make things happen. But also, if you have the critical mass within the workforce, that is also a force in itself that can push change. You know, so both of these things.
Mr. Manyang.
But the biggest one, yes.
Even on social security, and then ngaje ko mbe ngaje la ko even minke kanje yakata kul kejel kula mimbe dendim purkat dulaje puray fali nyami nyin daji kol minne bako tere kafol daji kol minne bako wato min diata le kana daji kol minne bako kal late aning wosifal yalo ñunu be ba kere na Mr. Manya parsay ite amera ñunu nse jarano ñaadile ni nata molla karola human resources ñing ha problem on se jarano ñaadile
Mustafa janni manjambe je jabila amman la fi allié manjandang a social security manjanne ne do ko ke government le janni ngabita social security de. I think social security would have been his second. Nimmanyina Manja used to work for NIB, am I right?
Yes.
National Investment Board.
Yes.
So Ngamira, it's a good opportunity to tell us what obtains then and in ila second stint in government. Katu tumodo mo jama ma wolong ko anene do ko ke NIB.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
and that
NIB,
would have been in the First Republic, Kodi.
Yes, yes.
And then you came back in the Third Republic.
Yes.
So left a year fana culture fonye so that mol salong nasilo bula daming fodung it was throughout Lembang for somewhere along the line things went worse. Iman lafika je for Barcelona ngaje itanu.
Yeah. No, I think NIB.
Yes.
NIB was very formative for Ntelmen Bedo Koki. You know, I mean, we worked with really, truly professional people at the time. You know, they were seasoned professionals. Every single person who went through NIB, actually came out a much better professional. But there was a lot of young professionals who want to achieve something and were hungry to achieve something. And we brought up each other so we were complementing each other. And then you had a leadership, Miyalonko, you know, it was quite effective at the time. So Jao, you can hear my Nawek seem to have gone.
I can hear the
Can you name some of the people who were there? Iteni Menul Bejela contemporaries and also the leadership.
Yeah. I mean, if you create a leadership, you had Abdullah Ture there, Abdullah Bax Ture as the CEO at the time. And so Bax was there, but before Bax, Charajangha was there as the CEO. And then Bax. And then in terms of professionals at the time, you have people like Lamin Barrow. Yeah, people like, sorry, very soon my thing will go off. There are people like Lamin Barrow. You have people like Lamin Manjang was there, myself, and I'm trying to just call up some names of the head. Wada, who is now quite a lot of these guys are all outside the country working. You know, most of the people who were there were out of the country.
Oh, sorry.
Now it is gone. Oh,
yeah.
This is one of the problems of
public sector.
Incompetency, very important discussion.
One of the problems of public sector.
Yes. Yes, that's the problem, public sector.
It is aku balava warna bake coming manjamba foka nyameng interference decision making and challenges and terika fall and more mindiate wato mindiate because mansa kunna fe mo be jakajala ko mo be talam so anum fana min kan jakale la fa manyanyi ngala mol katara janne
is back is it that
no, it's here but frozen I can see about frozen
okay.
Like Suleiman Jang would be here. Abetarala Jang, he would wake up on time. Katakala do koko, but then Suleiman Kato Spokono. It's a change, Suleiman, you know. So either you join the club or you whatever for the principle lessorala.
No, I think to be quite honest, it come ikafonyame, you know, the position does not make the person, but it reveal, you know, the character of the individual. So I believe ko more eka principle andung commanding kolia fo nyameng yiro meta ba kono nyawo nya ate falino la bamboti. So literally ko mo la jiko buka faling. So ni bijang ika wolke because you don't have an option. Ni tata falinda, that means that is your real character. But ni ila character mu mindi, ila principle mu mindi, itata dawoda ika woli tandile. You saw that, whether at home or at abroad. Asis ka fonya mende wato mbe brufudle. But in kata adoko na banjul, I know you can remember in 2000 and was ifal brufut silol was ni sama kita motol kadutale.
Exactly.
But in the 7:30 wakantara banjule. I've never gone to office 8 o'clock. Anong wo culture lebembulu hani sang in Europe. And we can nintara like Sunday ndara dokola. Na staff wol kanyininga munati na ikana this early morning. You know, a manager you should come in a bit later. I know na time 9 o'clock lady. But in Katara work 8:30. Nkana, you know, nkana email sol jube, you know, nka file ol jube, nka report ol jube, you know, pur ngalong mune keta in my absence, so that ngalong ko nyanta decision juma letana. So, na muso jamanya akaule fanya ko nyete, you cannot work in the Gambia, don't even bother going back. Because ni tata je ni ita kenola. Because I am lonely. And mommy alone would know, Nente, I would not accept any position me alone.
Saying so, the problem is, along you be, ikakeno janne. Andong as is yemin for ne atara no continent o nyama as is ikamin kenong. Ane manja yeminke, wol ni nyongol ni wol continent wala consequences katara laring kul kunna tolola. Ate ngo sana sabali yake janne. I could fully remember nefana ngo kalam dala. It would not take long. Ate wati jang tala, but mol mampareka.
Imam Chebu I come for Mol Yaje in a very different perspective. But in I strongly believe I am menu for Mutonya Kesolt. Ako hadama dingol ifatatale. Hadama dingol dolbije for ni dia mute drong ika moele andu ika faline. Hadama dingol dolbije for ye busa. Janniwe kuol kalamutala yenyi. Hadama dingol dolbi je ike sindi dula clean janibe kalam
consequences
so wo is true niya jube comme ma fomo leader nyanda kala dictatori bari ni man kango soto hani kordalto ni man kango soto fembu katamano so until minuye mbatandi intervention nying cultural pressure nying wol anim political will nying wolle mul nasindi bake. Imagine like as he's coming for, he is coming to work early. Akala driver to je aka lift dani mul ka samba. Naya tara nung I support sort of from the IG where I ning kita inyante la mul discipline na take inyante charge la ye charge ye discipline. But ni asisi will charge IG ba fula no bula charge in drop or ibuka nyimfa. So
maslahality yala wo maslaha syndrome Mohammed Fernandana malam foi kamwela ba Mr. Manja.
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay, but yala onko nla fe yin kala min nafana ite fana bribe palaso nyinto nka palaso memba fo ka ngeyin nka biri ko ye bondi jele jide samba blood were you disappointed? It disappointed ba ayini ko yala ba?
No.
Munana
I wasn't in it for the position or anything. I was in it just for the job. And I felt where I was being taken does not match my skills.
Okay. But near Jibe Gambia, wolmu kula decision sifal de minni alon ko sifal man sia comme nga ko jang manjan non te jangela no so mol kap doko ke minna olon pour yekodo soto.
Yeah.
Mol buka doko ke fo doko nole ngagnin place on sa samba nol also. But I wo culture sifa ase bono nyandil.
No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think one there has to be optionality. People need to have options. But until that point, we need to create something of some kind of security of tenure. Because if you have security of tenure, you will be free to do the right thing. So near options, you are free to do the right thing because you know you can always hop onto something else. If the optionality is limited, you need to have security of tenure. Otherwise, there will be very few people who will take that kind of a jump.
Before navigator you were giving us a background of Ilawato NIB. Then Wato, you were all hungry. So alongside, you can see people are still hungry, but people are more hungry now to get rich quick, to get fancy cars and etc. So I'll tell, what was your hunger?
In fact, at the time, I mean, it wasn't about material possessions. I mean, I think it was a young professionals coming to the country and working. And when you have these young professionals together with a leadership that was professional and have vision, the environment, the culture is different. NIB culture then was a culture of professionalism. So people go there to really develop themselves. And it has shown almost everybody who passed through NIB easily got jobs outside of this country. So I think it was more trying to rub off each other, improve yourself, and do as best as you can to deliver the tasks that was given to you.
And then also, Mohammed, I'm sure you were also measured as well. There were measurements that you have to deliver certain laborers, also you have to report certain things as well. I guess that also was there.
Yeah, I mean, there was an element of that. But I think the biggest motivator was each other.
And the
culture. And also, remember at that time, it was really an open floor plan. Can you imagine in those days in the Gambia, an open floor plan? I mean, so that in itself, so even the titles then, it wasn't like managing director, it was more like chief CEO, division chief, so it was almost terminology which was almost aligned to what you would have seen in the West at that time, because at that time nobody used CEO in the country. So they may sound little things, but it was reinforcing a particular culture. And once that culture is entrenched, it actually then drives you to deliver.
Yeah.
And it wasn't people were like on first name basis, which is also very important. So you are not like saying Nyimuna boss like Gambia, I mean MD, DG. Sometimes you don't even know what these things stand for.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember when I was in the office, when people come and tell me MD, I'm saying, please don't call me MD. You know my name. Call me by my name.
But Mohammed, I suffer with it. In no way we don't have that. So when I go to Africa, I struggle with it because people get upset.
I know.
I know. No way you don't have that. Even the president, you don't have that at all. You call people on their name.
So I go to a minister's office. If I go to a minister's office, I don't say honorable. I call you by their name. So I was very strange in there because I cannot go and call. I never called any minister honorable. I go and call you by your name. So I go to the SG. So I don't call him SG. I call him by his name. But because I am used to that, and I think that actually breaks a lot of these things of like bureaucracy.
Yes. And the power dynamics, isn't it? The power, because I need to know the power. I don't see the power. I can just stand in front of the minister or the president and say whatever I want to say because the power dynamics.
Because once you take that out, you don't see that also. You see a colleague.
Yeah.
And once you see a colleague, so this is actually very helpful in actually changing the mindsets and the culture.
Yes.
I think this reminds me of what Aziz said earlier. I think the image of the leadership, let's say the presidency, is very crucial in sending a lot of messages down to the public. Let's compare Barrow and Thomas Sankara. When Thomas Sankara came to power, the first thing he did was to diss all those luxurious cars. And then he tried to dress simple. He works with the people. He doesn't have a galaxy of security entourage with him.
Yeah.
But, that kind of created a culture of self-reliance in Burkina Faso.
It's a powerful message. It's a very powerful
within a short
message.
period of time, he was able to attain, so much for the people. Now, Barrow in 7 years, now you can see Barrow has changed. If you look at his pictures, from a malnourished man to someone who is very hefty. And you see him, that's the reality. You see him, in very flamboyant, haftans and yeti also.
Yeah.
You see him construct or build, a magnificent mansion at home. So what image are you sending to your public, to your servants? That you need to transform yourself. You need to, rise from poverty to riches at whatever level.
Yeah.
So because of that, the work ethic and the culture is like, I need to get rich quick. And that is what we can see today.
And also, Manyang,
it's a material. It's a very
is that culture of you have to make it in civil servant. You need money. You should make it. I think that also influenced a lot because molka jeleko ye ba city daming akadomoro ke jele.
Yeah. But again, you see that
kujamale na je. Sai ka fole ko ni man so rigid si Barrow regime be almost the rich. Sai ka wole.
Yeah, because Amira, this is now the easiest time to do it. There doesn't seem to be any consequence. But I think it's also a societal pressure, like I said.
Exactly.
You see, Jang, Nina MD, director. There is a lot of expectation of that position. Both parties play. You play, and also the society expects. There are high expectations. Trying to meet those expectations actually forces you to do things that are unbecoming of somebody in a role.
No, but let's look at Sidi Ajata, for example.
Is it not dishonesty? Because
I
have experience that going to Gambia for holidays, I remember back. My sister said that young men to go to Europe. And I didn't care. I remember my father. My father met me on the street, and he, with his car, he refused to stop to greet me because what I was wearing. And then he came home and said to my mom, so he says Sadombi. So he said, University Janga, Ajineka University Janga. So he said, I'm you. And I'm like,
I know.
So, but I didn't care,
Bari, Ntolbe Bantale, Mohamed Manjambe on the ground. Mohamed is hitting the nail on the head. Isus membe Banko Kang. Menka more forced to be dishonest and to be corrupt. Mohamed Kawole for be. Bari nak ndefana bimbe kela Mohamed ya jalolti de abuka memfo ama fam fo menante be wala fola. Mohamed Manjambora Manjane Awulu, a very principled somebody.
Yes, we were neighbors.
From the way Mohamed was brought up, he could not have been anything other than this.
But that tells it also.
Bari la moy the ills men akafo society ka more force nyamen to be corrupt. Imagine you are an MD. In the 15th of the month, konyo mole wuli iko ye gamole soto yeteleke petronti. Wala inate ko be juma lola bari nyine ye manke. Karo manfa itela gomesi nima ke isafu ko mumoja wote.
As this, I still have a problem with that.
Yes, honestly, I know. I mean, no, I get it's not an excuse. But
definitely, what
Manjang is telling is the societal pressure menka mol fana fango force into this. So odd people like me, ntening atoludol me alonko na resist. Society fan control jeleko abnormal people.
That is true.
Be example dilala. In fact, if you work very honest and hard, society will punish you.
Yes.
Because there used to be a police officer called Nikul.
Yeah, Nikul. I know.
Very strict in traffic.
Yes.
I was also going to mention there's this former director of customs. I forgot.
I told him, Manju.
I think it's Manju. Latrikunda, yes.
But Manju official because the story of Nikul, because he was so strict,
Yes.
And what was he strict about? People's safety.
Yes.
He ended up dying almost on the streets. Hanning birnga retired hanna kabe dunna taxola na dunta drive ka faiji. Ite mo jaw.
Yeah.
And
no,
people,
you know, and
people use that as an example ka fo ko hakil tu kamenk. Ko ya jele ni kula banta nyane.
I hear people say that a lot.
In fact, there I was going to just refer to that point again. It's not so much it is right, but you know, we're trying to identify some of the pressures put on people to behave in a particular way.
Yeah.
Not many people can resist it. You know, I remember when I was in Social Security, Banjul elders, two or three groups came to me. They call it Gamoleke Banjul, and I think at the time Social Security got sponsored. So they came, some of them I know them very well. And I said, listen, I'm not saying Abukake in the past, but we are not going to do it. Social Security is not established to get more finance or to do any of those things. We have a purpose and we are going to deliver on that. Personally, if I can, I will give you, but I will never give you money from Social Security. Oh, they got so mad. In fact, some of them, I know them long ago.
They are coming from Banjul.
They stopped talking to me, but it did not pressure me. I still meet them and I will greet them with Barinko, my friend. Let's not confuse two things. This is a work environment. This thing is specifically for this. I am not anti-Islam or anti-religion. In fact, religion, you know, but I cannot use money me alone go. They are of other faiths. But even that aside, this money, I'm not even meeting their requirement. I cannot come here and give money to something for a cause which let's contradict ourselves. Let's not go to any other institution. But they got so mad, and I had so many instances of those things. But I guess, frankly speaking, I was able to withstand all of those things. It wasn't pushing me to do anything. But I can face it. I can have a conversation. You can tell me anything you want. Because one thing is I can take it. You can give me anything, I can take it. So long as I know that
I think that tells a lot about your character. And the character of the individual will determine whether you can sustain pressure or not. I believe as long as you are alive, you are every day facing challenges.
Yes.
And then it is out of those challenges that would kind of help you grow and become a better person. Yeah. But if you succumb to some of those pressures, you would end up being a failure, and society would end up failing.
Yeah.
Nia Jube.
Sorry. Unfortunately, I know this thing. You had told me 1 hour, so I only scheduled for an hour. So I don't know.
But still, most of the time,
now it took like 3 minutes because I went to make sure 5 minutes.
Okay, Manjang, Mr. Manjang,
people are just sending. I saw some messages.
So maybe I'll give Manjang some more time, about 10 minutes or extra. Mr. Manjang.
Just summarize,
Left a minute, Tariake, all on Indigo. Even in system or Conola, system dog, Barinko, it fango moma. Muna ketela kolea quality isen karandino minna wala isen kunindino minna kolea cool system.
Let me get the question right. Not kolea cool in what context? Because I think the biggest challenge
Ukudla sambanya, mol sambanya, ukudla tamandinya.
I think for me the biggest challenge is a couple of things. Is effectiveness of Dokuzat. I mean, even aside of the interferences, but it's just the sheer bureaucracy, because sometimes you have a board in place, and just complexity of just running. You have a board in place, you really don't know what the role of that board is, because you have a board in place, you have an Secretary General's office, you have the Ministry of Finance. This is just looking at Social Security. You have the Ministry of Finance. Supposedly, Ministry of Finance is the line ministry, but the Secretary General office will be sending you communication information as if they are also a regulatory authority. But you have a board who you don't know what to do. Because sometimes even take a simple thing like a budget. You take a budget, you take to the board approves it, but apparently it is not approved. It has to go to the ministry. The ministry looks at it, but apparently it has to go to the presidency. So before you even get an approved budget, it may be in the second quarter of the year. So that's why you have a resourcing challenge, because you have a place which say, if I want to get a good resource and I'm competing against, say, EcoBank, and I'm a financial institution trying to run. You have a balance sheet which is almost bigger than some of the banks here, but you're competing against them. So you need the kind of resources they have, but you cannot get those resources because you cannot afford to pay what they're paying. If you want to attract resources and give them the right money to attract them, then you are constrained because you are saying, no, our pay scale is this much. But if you are not paying, it will be difficult to deliver. Otherwise, these places can, so that curtails on the efficiency of the place. And also just the systems. The systems are so archaic, you cannot get real-time information to make decisions. It's very difficult. So those are some of the operational challenges that I experience. And I know it is also prevalent. These are almost everywhere. The challenges are pretty much the same. They're really not different. So I think those are some of the big challenges.
Okay.
Yeah. No, go. I know. Go on.
Yeah, but say ite amera nying kol problem ol menni beba kere. Nyamen di ijara nyato janni bita. Nyamen di ba nying kol be jaral no nyaade because ite fanna flow belama.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I think like I said, to me, it's a combination of a lot of things. Like what you guys are doing is one important aspect of the whole civil education part of it. The population needs to be much, much more aware. If we do not have an aware population, it's going to be very difficult to push some of these changes through, because the leadership are very comfortable where they are. There is no pressure on them. There is no pressure to deliver on anything. There is so much wrong going on, which they are comfortable because so I think to really push that, because it's either you have an aware leader in place to drive this change. Nema Wosoto, the leadership you have in place who have no incentive to change can only be changed by an aware population that is aware.
Yeah.
So I think the civil education, but that route is a very tedious and long. Yeah. The other route is quicker, but that only happens if you have somebody who is aware in sitting there. So it has to be a revolution coming bottom up.
So, Ekajim Foko, you either join the club or you ela principle sort. Malum for culture sifa faran. What's a jara no nyadi?
Yeah, I mean, I think we started with that one. Some of the people who are joining the club do not really necessarily want to join the club, but they're joining the club because they are constrained. It's either like they say, either you join or you are kicked out. And most people, Yalong Jang, a lot of people, I think it is because the society is very small. A lot of people are scared of criticism. You see, Nina Mojama Vijang, if you start telling them negative stuff, even Hannah Manke Sondi, they will give up. They cannot withstand it. We are very sensitive to what people say about us. Now, if I sit here and say, you know what, I know who I am, you can tell me whatever you want, but I know who I am. I will not be driven by what people say of me because I know who I am. Yeah. I can withstand a lot of challenges. But unfortunately, most people are not like that. So, but once, like, that's the point of said initially, if we create optionality for people, or if there were optionalities in the society, or there is security of tenure, we will be in this situation for some time until we have a critical mass of aware citizens.
We will try and do that. But Minkera, Foi nena ke silandi le ka do be kanyi fe ka ko be sambala moro le o si val
Oh yeah.
I
I
saw
have
that
that.
as well.
In fact, I have people. I have things thrown at me. I have seen my chair. Even my chair was split. Yes, I went to the mosque to pray. They took my. I think they said something. It does something. So yeah, but to be honest, I'm not moved by them.
But say yalo wol mu fenne de mi alonko they are driving force pour ka mol silande ka foko in be sambala moro le de hakilo de wosifal ite e mine keno ka wo overcome fokullo dole be bulun dolma min lomba
no kullo do tempo I just faith. I'm not doing anything wrong. You see, I fundamentally believe in one thing. Ning moral si mo tinyano mo better sorola. Because every one of us, there are people who don't like us for whatever reason that they know. So if that works, nobody, more better than or at least the community, society that believes in it, more better than so it's not. Sometimes coincidence happen, and we believe.
Okay.
Baraka baki bisa manjang for overstaying the 1 hour.
Exactly. One la fete to la baki. But maybe these are the final thoughts for you. Konoto dia and then ngebuleta, Mr. Manja. Konoto dia.
Well, I think we'll be repeating the same thing. But like I said, I think what you guys are doing is fantastic because I think it's all about civil education. I think sometimes we all desire the change because we are not seeing the change we want. So we all desire to push and move it. But I strongly believe there are certain kind of fundamental change. It's not overnight. I know we've been this in 7 years, but changing it's a generational change. Generational change don't happen in 5-10 years. Generational change, if it is a generational change, that's how we look at it. Sometimes it takes a painful long time. But I think it's about awareness. And all of these countries we compare ourselves to, their level of awareness is significantly ahead of ours. And they've gotten there over time. I mean, I say to people, even if you look at Europe 100 years ago, it was a terrible situation. 200 years ago, so it was a terrible situation. They've come to where they are now over time. Now, I'm not saying we can leapfrog because we've seen it happen some other places. So I'm not saying we need to take that same amount of time. No, that's what I'm not saying. But I'm saying we really need to drive what some of you guys are doing, which is brilliant. I think, a combination of that and making sure we put the right people in place will get us at the place we want.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Manja Baraka. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So much.
Okay.
It was really wonderful. Baraka.
Thank you.
Okay.
Baraka.
Yeah, Baraka.
I think we can just quickly.
Saul, your observation and your contribution, Saul.
I think he raised some quite significant points, your Hamne. In fact, if you can see me taking notes, so I am going to write because I love writing. Yes. So one thing, his last thing, limwa mwene hamga sensitivity of a person, in effecting change, because anybody who is writing or saying things in the public against any establishment, you would have people that would come after you. They would call you names. Why? So faking you are a sensitive person, you would take this thing personally, and then you would give up because that is their objective. But if you have a stronger personality, you got a thick skin, you don't respond to most of these things. And I'm grateful to MB Krubali in the US because I remember when I started writing, on Facebook around 2008, is like I would respond to everyone. I would, be challenging, going back and forth. He said to me, my brother, don't waste your time responding to everybody. you need to learn to ignore. When you're in the public, you don't validate everyone. And I've learned that, I've picked that from him. And this has helped me over the years. I've developed that thick skin. People who call me names, they would insult me. I'll just like it. And then, I leave it there so that they can see I am not them. I am a stronger person, because if I give it back to them, you can see them coiling into their cells.
Okay, I'm coming.
Can I use your phone? Because I want to click call restaurant.
No.
This is quite essential.
No, your phone.
Thick skin be. Public awareness be is also, he mentioned, which is also quite important, because if a leader is not willing to change, it is the people that can change the leader. Why? If the people are not aware and they're not conscious, it would be difficult for them even to see, the things that the leader is not doing right.
Yeah.
This is what Nyang Jai would say. You would have the victims that would celebrate and encourage, their oppressors to oppress them. Because Linde Wane, a slave who finds comfort in his captivity would not, want to be liberated, because already you used to that. So it's also another thing, because you come out and say, okay, there is corruption going in the Gambia. No, there's no corruption. Barrow is fighting corruption. Barrow is developing. Why Nyom Lin fail to understand corruption is not just such a halis.
No.
We've realized corruption be amna so many aspects and dimensions. Remember that Waji Kinyon, president of this press union, even the press union itself is corrupt. Corruption. So I was pushing him to tell me, learn more corruption, understand it. So there are so many of them in the Gambia. So man, your doctor be so a nurse be, you should go to work. You 8 o'clock, yangi them to work at 11, 12. That means yangi cheat 3 hours, valuable time of government. Wamne nyung la fay. Those 3 hours, nyata nit ñoo xamne ñoo seen feebar dafa gëna yokku o henna dee nañ sax si that time pour wait pour gis la. Halis bi gaay di jël o machine si gaay di jël from l'hôpital bi. Lolu mu ngi deprive somebody else pour am access to those pour muna faju. Koku mun na cee deyale, feebaram bi mun na cee yokku ak lu bari mun na lifin. And the same way of like nga construct yoon boo xam ne yoon bi baaxut nit ñi di fa am accident nit ñi di dee yow mi construct yoon bi yow yaa rey ñooñu. Why they would not see it in that perspective, dañoo gis ne drivers yi ñoo reckless. Why fekk ne henna is the nature of the road niñ ko constructé loolu moo dee cause accidents yi. Your police officer bi yaa ngi war a nekk si traffic bi yaa ngi war a control traffic bi yaa ngi busy di wàcce beneen driver di collect xaalis si loxoom in between accident am is not the drivers, it's your officer bi boo xam ne ñu ngi la assign pour nga control manage traffic bi and you didn't do it. Loolu sa responsibility la. So war nañoo xool all those things in those perspectives ñu mun a understand ne suñ njiit yi are not giving us what we elected them to do for us. Naturally, ñun ñëpp duñ mun a nekk njiit. Why, if he trusts you, because don't elect nit rek because you expect that person to be perfect. Why, dang degi certain potentials in that person nga believe ko. All of Njaay wax na ko ñu ne xam nga nit ki léegi-léegi dang ko dee jàppale mu toog si donxaas gi because gëm nga ne xen na am nga yaakaar ne moom su toogee si donxaas gi dina def mengo ak li yow li nga foog waaye nga dem ba ci biir gis ne kii ak man ni ma foogoon dafa mel ni guddee bëccëg you get disappointed. Am ñoo xam ne nga tere leen donxaas gi fekk ñooñu suñ fa toogoon yow soo jaaxle ñooñu dañ laa jàllale. So it's very difficult because election time they will come and say things like Barrow léegi mu ngi dem jaara def na fa lopitaan mu ngi def yoon mi so na ñooñu those little things they see it ne lii is fundamental for them and dina tax gaay votal ko.
And what are the educational side of it, is a problem here. Lopitan, who is trained to come and, supply that Lopitan?
Even so, a state of the art Lopitan. Lopitan be amna garab, that lopitaan bi am na qualified nurses, that those nurses are ethical, that are they professional, because you xam nga it's not only garab bi yow nurse bi soo ñëwee like fii soo demee lopitaan xam nga that consultation biñ la dee jox reassurance ak xam nga niñ la dee traité niñ dee waxee yow rek daf la dee reassure so much xam nga dañ dee xala fàtte ne yow sax da nga dem pour faj understand niñ la dee traité waaye ñaata jigéen nga dégg ñu wax ne ñu ngi léebo ñu xam nga ñu ngi that moment noo si di leen saaga no pil bi nga ko doon def mu ngi ne balaba understand how can you say that to someone koo xam ne mu ngi diggante dund ak dee yaa ngi yokk a preso kooku so pour wax ne noo si yaa ngi fa but are they professional, are they ethical, how are they treating their patients?
As Suleiman talked about, it all boiled down to accountability, because there is no accountability. Because for accountability, definitely consequences and I think so.
Yeah.
Because because at the end of the day, yes, people can be sensitive, people can be all these things. But at no sense, so you say the least there is accountability. Differently. Why? Because you accountability. Nurse bi dafa talk sagala, da nga dem lopitan, nga dem nurse bi talk di ndewo, mu ndewo be pare nga talk di ko xaar, mu pare ndewo be pare ne xawma la neen la def, nekk di waxtaan ak colleagues am nga ñew ne ko yeen ñu ngi talk fi di len xaar rek mu tak sa xaw. Xam nga, so all these things is a big challenge. Mota even so joge ci diaspora bi ñew Gambia, xulo nga de ka guys ko ñu ne diaspora yi sona ne seen loxo da ngeen fogg ne da ngeen ñew fi rek di yuxu ci kaw nit ñi. Because I remember when we were running this project Gambia, guys dañu dé wara ñew dañ amone agreement they should provide car. That didn't happen. When we said we need the car, then they said, okay, we'll come and pick you up 8 o'clock. These people don't come. Yang lena call 8 o'clock. Yang lena call, and they're still not on the way. But I know exit 9 o'clock. We go realize it. I just called my mom. I calls my mom to come and stand by them. And then when so I gave over. They're like, exit again. I told Natalie, but in Musul, then they started in the Europe Mall. So these are some of these challenges, is that the attitude has to change. And of course, if you don't have a government, political will be, so it doesn't work, because anytime I write, of course, every time but you just don't care, because people don't understand them. We live in Europe. My job also involved a lot of the time dealing with racism, because you deal with racist people, you go to territories you have and you say something. Last week, I was invited to go and talk, and I raised issues of racism in that talk. And those people who invited me paying for it, we are not happy about it. I said, take your money. If you are not, because my consent don't allow me to come and romanticize this whole thing, because it's wrong. It's not about the money. Take your money, but I cannot talk that. So next time, don't call me, because I cannot romanticize. So these are some of these accountability. Because because civil servant, the public servants, they talk the one. So we are in serious problem.
It is Setaki, that guy from St. Francis Small Teaching Hospital, we sent board member director.
That's my even uncle on top of it.
The expose.
Yes.
So mom allegation they unfounded. A senior person like that, see board member.
Exactly.
To make those allegations publicly, what you need to do is to suspend all those who are adversely mentioned. Nga send them home, set the commission nga investigate affair. But what they did, they are out on a campaign for tarnish image. Wow, dañ ko daan jox fuel coupons legi dañ nangu lolu la mer bala bala. And you got people in the local government commissions, ñoo xam ne ñu ngi admit ne they've stolen money or they've spent it, ñoom xamuñ naka lañ ko spend. Those people are still allowed to go to work, but
they move. Some of them are moved to different.
So
yeah, some people are moved different.
Man, I strongly believe leadership is very essential.
It is
because
It is
leadership bi so amé a very informed leader and a very committed leader ko xamné is ready for change. Koku mun na influence the public to follow.
That is true.
Because so say the world history, all these countries you hamne are developed in America. And funnily, I was looking at Benawai in Katala, Kuwait. I can't remember exactly the country. Mune, he was looking at, he said, look at Nigeria. Mune, Nigeria had all the resources.
Yes.
Mune, why Nyun Qatar, we haven't got anything. Mune, why then I'm a leader bohamne is ready and is willing to bring about change. Mune muta Qatar legi dafa develop. Mune, why Nigeria with all their things, because they have the bad leaders and they are corrupt. Sen they could be munuta them fen. And bimo helo rek tuma hel dafa dem si Gambia.
Yes, that is true. Even Norway, Suleiman, Norway, I mean, they didn't build this country through the oil money. No. Before oil being used in Norway, it was more of leadership and you looking at different sectors and building up.
It's the leadership. Man, I strongly believe is the leadership. Public, they know, the public can only come out when they are oppressed beyond sin acceptance. Till public be react at you.
But Saul, why Saul?
Also, you have the responsibility to also make your people to aware, just like feeding Kodedefe. People are aware. There's a lot of funding going to civil society organizations to make sure awareness is raised.
A leader Bohamne is not aware, is corrupt.
Why Saul, leadership be they come from home, they come from house, they come from community, they come from societies, you know. So I think it's a replicate
I people wanted to mention this. Coalition campaign. There was a photo that went viral. First Lady Bangdon Hecha Baro, Mbubambi Sikana Munko lead.
Yeah.
I'm sure maybe you have seen that.
Yeah, I remember that picture.
Hamga. It's like many people raise eyebrows. Hamga, why was the First Lady leading him? Hamga, taking charge of him. So the explanation they gave was Baro was tired to do anything. So First Lady bidaf kodon hecha pur mudem muna leka. But Hamga impression bilegi yage dega a lot of people nge rumone First Lady be more on the country. Is the de facto president.
Yes.
Because so many other people know Hamga, they doing wrong, they protected because they have close affiliation with her.
Yeah.
So man bima dege yo suma helsi natal bobula dem, and I said, like you said, Hamga, charity begins at home. So feke ne mom danko elif si bir negam, obviously dumuna elif dekabi because danko elif si kiram. It doesn't necessarily mean the good be yawara elif. Why naturally you are the protector, you are the head. Understand? There is nothing wrong in consulting Aksa Jabar Hamga open discussion, seek advice from her. Why, as a leader, Sajabar Rafa Rolam, she's not the elected president. So what would her run the country in any way? You can seek advice at you. Why, if it is coming out, Jamme Agnum Mundimel. Why Koku was not running the country in the fact.
Why Suleiman, Madam, they believe ne what you want to do, you do it despite everything. Because Baro Lumbuga defla, because you're accused even of corruption. Okay, Jabar could lead, but still he want to do it. This is where the thing was. Baro Lumbuga def go manifest mataba Baro Nako deflo. Something that Baro feel ne is not my interest, honestly, because I think he is just part of it. He liked it. Of course, it's easy to hide behind these things because at the end of the day, no matter.
No,
how you like the person.
I'm not good new digenisa ñoo xamne liñ bëgguta def seen góor mënul leen ko def lo especially góor bi waaye am na ñoo xamne is like li pande réew da xam nga nit naturally yàlla daf di am nim la di def am na ñoo xamne they are natural njuumos am na ñoo xamne xam nga du njuumo so nekkee njuumo anyone can make you do things.
Yeah, I know those things happen.
So you say, why are we saying Nisoran Baro Nagene, those around him? Because then believe me, those people have, significant influence over him. So if those people haven't got that significant influence over him, why would we cry that he should get rid of those people? People like Sidinya, people like Langtombon Ki. So Luther knew Nagene APRC around him.
Yeah, that is one thing I also.
So, because then believe me, those people have significant influence over him. He is the head of state. No, now, wow, it's like in South Africa. ANC be amud majority be. So they have to go and speak to people to form a government. Gis nañ ne if they go into a coalition government, lolu dafa affect send principles ak send objectives because they have to enter an agreement moo xam ne they would accept a lot of those things yoo xam ne they stood against. So lately what they are saying is they have to form a government of national unity wherein they can invite all the parties. Why do they like a coalition government? Then allow we will take this, you carry on with your political ideology in the National Assembly or in the government, but you would follow, you would support us in the budgeting. When it comes to budgeting, you would support us when it comes to education, you'd support us when it comes to agriculture. So you cannot vote against our bills on that. This is how reasonable leaders think. When
we have, I mean, in Barrow's case, honestly, I believe Barrow got into this government, also realized this money making place. I just make money, enjoy myself because I'm getting things I've never got, and then sit in it, and of course have the likes of.
I saw Maggie Sabina message before you know live in Cas Ahmad Ba about that memorandum of the.
Yes, but he said it. He said he announced that the memorandum of the moratorium for allocation of land is lifted now. So then I'm like, if it's lifted, I was lying down actually, almost going to bed, and somebody sent me Ahmad Ba's this day. I said I don't listen to Ahmad Ba, but I was like, okay, let me just listen whilst I'm just getting myself to sleep. Then I listened to it. I just had the moratorium of allocation is lifted. I said, what? If that is lifted, how come Barrow, who gave Barrow the land and the ministers? Because if it's lifted now, then that means there was the moratorium
illegal. That was illegal.
So that's why I'm at Wakada. So and I put it there. Even there's some of the guy MPP attack over the I was not even responding to them. But as I said, I have what I call social media management. I don't respond to all of this because that is serious, and Parliament should look at this because this is extremely serious. They gave him all this land. The ministers were given land when we had a moratorium on. Because Ahmad said it's been lifted now, so I just had to flag that like that because I was like, no.
National Assembly be waroon na call guy ne len ne wa legi lands yoyu naka ngeen ko joxe. So lands yoyu yem ñu recollect len.
They are illegal if that is the case. If we are going back Ahmad Limwa, then they are illegal.
Yeah.
Somebody you should have asked when the land was getting. No. I'm not even going that. Let them come and explain themselves.
It's a shame.
But it is all this corruption because honestly, this government is corrupt to the core. It's a very dangerous government. Yes, it's corrupt to the core. It's corrupt to the core, and in fact, I feel sorry for any government that is coming into the government 2026. If there is any government winning and changing, I really feel sorry for them. They have a daunting task to do because the country is so messed up by Barrow. And the people as well. There's a lot of
Lima they worry much more bugay them based stock in paying salaries. Because Lord Damachi they worry a lot.
Was it happened? Was it last year or ever last? Yes, it did happen. That they had problems paying salaries. That's when they go into taking other monies here and there. Yes, because I have somebody who was in that they were not paying them for 3 months. It did. Because you see, the media doesn't pick up these things up like that. This is where the problem is. But it did happen. And what I'm even scared of, Suleiman, is that the country go on a shutdown. This is where I get very worried because there is no money. Challenges are because Barofim Danjele Halis, I'm thinking also have a lot to do with some of these councillors, city councils, and now he doesn't have those powers anymore. He doesn't have people there, so he lost that. Because man, I don't believe businessmen in your help. That is true, but not at the level of the waste that we are seeing in this country. So it must have been from there. So Halis Neka to Fofu is closed, and I guess that is where he gets frantic and going attacking everything because it's frustrating because then ko ñoo ko ñi ñoo la baña jox xaalis instead of showing ne ñoom seen liggéey more correct. Man, I think Barrow should do what is very noble to resign.
Okay, final thoughts, Sol. You them. What to begin? Tak.
Yes.
No, Barrow to resign after third term. I mean, third term.
I pray to God that Barrow doesn't have that time. I really pray to God for that Barrow doesn't win this election. Because if Barrow win this, honestly, the country is going on civil rift. Because
I think problem with him, I think is the public will. Public will be to effect the change. More biggest problem.
But Suleiman, we are going back to sphere as well. Now people are telling you call people to talk. They say, no, man, no, I don't want to involve with this because, but court, they say no, because it's a waste of my time. They will put you there. You will go back and forth. I'm a pass meeting them, you know. So already we are seeing that coming back.
Why you is like if we all think in that way, we are allowing him to win.
Yeah, but that is happening. This is where the thing that is happening. That's why
we still need to challenge. We still need to force.
Yes, we will. What is happening?
Because policy arrest on that boy, the Hamadabo comedian, he went to the courts. He won. Understand? Yeah. So even though it's gonna take long. Bora. Yes, Bora. Ibrahim Adiba being go charge Yobuko. Is like you go charge on the wrong section.
Yeah, and then you know what I was so I had that the prosecutor was the one saying that he said that just the judge was saying that the magistrate was saying that they didn't charge him wrong, they should charge him properly. I'm like, well, I didn't know whether it was true or not, but I'm like, how?
No, what he said was they charge him on the wrong section. He should have strike out the case and throw it out of court.
That is where I was.
He's not going to strike it out, but he would allow them to recharge him properly.
But that is illegal. That is wrong. That is almost that is unheard of. You know, I thought people were just.
It's sad though. It's sad.
Yes.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are dragging to the bottom. Yeah, it was really a good day to hear.
It's a good one today.
Mohammed, to hear from Mohammed and understand and get people to understand these things. Because all the time we don't understand these issues. And people think that it's just normal to be corrupt. It's just normal to take money. It's just okay to talk money. A public thing is just for everybody. And I think these things are wrong because the reason why Barrow doesn't respect us is because we don't see the value of all these monies that have been taken away from us to build hospitals, to fix the hospital, to get more doctors, to get medicine in the hospital, to get the farmers the seeds they need, the farmers the technical support they need. These are all things that are affected by the money that is going away.
And I found it very funny. Munuma ham di boba again. Mune bu melentan bi tobe ci ko mu ci palu ci suuf. Mune melentan bi tagga bi dama. Mu ko do ci sosé. Mune am ngeen li tam tagga bi dama. Mune melentan bi dafa dis.
No, I think sometimes that they were living probably.
Suba ko hamuto dama ne door na pod. Oh, yes, sniff.
What happened? I thought maybe hunger time election with Dabo was having problem with the leg. I thought maybe that was
Mansa forgone. Why? Dabo is not heavy. So, no, key is not making sense here.
Anyway, thank you all, guys.
thank you so much. Thank you all of you.
Take care.
All right, thank you. Right, Sky Power Radio and TV Services Studios, West Yorkshire Leeds. This is a weekly civic education program coming away from Studios West Yorkshire Leeds. Lamerlan and Giberlal Mobe Dawada and Ibe Water na local civic education program main cast of Kabana Sky Power Radio and TV Services. Pokitikul Kati, Filanyo Tagato Yen Beben and Somebody Inshallah. Program B, Somebody Bunekal Denyo, 5 o'clock UK time. La de commence 6 o'clock European time at 4 o'clock Gambian time. Mohammed Manjang was our guest today. Thank you, Mohammed. can't thank you enough. Brother Malan Givenal, what is Sunin and Bedana Jan Food Sibitina, inshallah, Cabaron Sky Power Radio and TV services. And Badimala Mustafa Jame members here in program or Kuna for Sibitinala, inshallah, Alimbara.